it on the line. This all got started with a slip of the tongue.
The Deconstructionist podcast is produced by Nicholas Rowe at the National Audio Preservation Society Recording Studio in Newark, Ohio.
Follow us on social media at www.thedeconstructionist.com, on Facebook at Deconstructionist Podcast, Twitter at DeconstructCast, and Instagram at Deconstructionist Podcast.
If listening to this podcast has benefited you in any way, please consider making a donation. The donate link is in the show notes, or you can visit our website and click the donate tab.
You said in order to be an artist, you must love chaos. I disagreed. You knew no honor. Your art was lawlessness. You tried to take me in, but I broke free.
Welcome back to the Deconstructionist podcast, everybody. We are your hosts.
Oh my gosh.
We are your exuberant hosts, over-enthusiastic brofest hosts. I'm Adam Narlock.
And I am John Williamson.
John, did you know that we bro out too much?
I had heard that once or twice.
Dude, I can't help it. If I'm around you, I'm gonna bro out.
Look, this is just, we're excitable people. This is exciting stuff to talk about. We can't help it.
And it's season 1 of 2017. So do you think that's gonna make me more excited or less excited, John? Pop quiz.
Yeah, I'm going to guess with a little more excited, mostly because we literally haven't done much of this for like 2.5 months now.
I'm pent up like an animal, man. I'm ready to go.
Seriously. I think we were both geared up for this, right?
So geared up. I'm so geared. I'm ready. I'm ready. What do we got? What are we doing? What is this? What's going on?
So this is a little teaser. This is a little special teaser. Obviously, like, people are aware that we threw out a little bonus episode with our good friend Dr. Peter Rollins about a month ago.
The good doctor.
Just to tide people over. But we've been quite busy, you and I, over the last couple months, and we kind of like left people off with Roar, but didn't really get a chance to recap. So you've been kind of all over the country. Why don't you tell people what you've been up to?
I've been jet setting, haven't I?
You have. You've been on more airplanes than I can count.
And I think I got sick every time I boarded an airplane. Not like sick on the flight, but like if I like boarded an airplane, I developed some kind of an illness at that point. Like the weather has been so weird this year, like warm in the winter because global warming is true.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe that, you probably should stop listening right now. But
yeah, or go back to listen to that one episode.
Yeah, just kidding. We love you, but listen to the Catherine Hayhoe episode and find out that thermometers don't lie.
Right.
And anyway, so the global warming has been pretty interesting, and the weather has caused people to get sick. And I have young kids, so I've gotten sick a whole bunch. But I've been jet setting all over the place because I got a new job. I switched careers, John. I switched.
Yay!
Yes, I did.
This is a good thing. Yeah.
Yes, I'm no longer slogging it out at that last job. I loved the people that I worked with, but I just couldn't do it anymore. And for all you listeners out there, if you have ever been in a job where you're just like, I don't know if I can do this anymore, don't do it anymore. Develop a plan, get your LinkedIn fired up, make something happen, because there's jobs out there and you don't have to be a prisoner of the cul-de-sac of depression in your job anymore. So that's what happened to me, man, from starting in like November through December through January into February. It was like hopping flights for interviews and just going all over the place to land what is now just an absolutely exceptional job. I'm really fortunate to have the career that I have. And yeah, it's been great, man. Thanks for asking. Get to clue everybody a little bit in on what we do when we're not behind these mics.
Yeah, this is not the podcasting is not our full-time job. So,
Although we wish it was.
oh goodness, yeah, yeah, we have to pay the bills, and this is definitely not a lucrative career for most of us. So, so yeah, so I mean, so Adam's been really, really super busy. So we had to take a little time off just for after the crazy year we had anyway. So recharge our batteries, kind of come up with some new ideas for the new year, and keep coming at you guys with all kinds of surprises. But what we really want to do now is kind of take a moment to kind of recap the year that 2016 was, and
Craziest year
I know
ever.
for me,
Craziest year ever.
oh my gosh. Well, I mean, for we seem to have had a lot of new people kind of jump on board within the last several months.
You
And
mean listeners?
yeah,
We have so
like,
many new listeners.
it's kind of crazy. And
We
I'm
love
like,
you guys.
I keep checking, our social media, and I'm like, whoa, more new people. Okay.
Oh, and,
But,
the emails and the messages and the tweets and the just
so nice.
the love. I can feel the love.
It's been really encouraging. Yeah. So, so I thought maybe if you're up for it, Adam, we could do a little recap of some of our favorite moments of 2016.
You want to take a stroll down memory lane, man?
I would love to, man.
Let's do it, man.
If they want to, they can envision us holding hands and skipping through a meadow or something. If it,
that's how I envision us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so I know for me personally, I think the first crazy moment for me when we first started this, because for those who are newer that didn't hear the kind of intro, to our story, we did not plan to do weekly podcasts. We didn't plan on this primarily being a podcast where we interview people. It was going to be a thing where you and I basically did a ton of research and picked topics that we thought were interesting and discussed them and released maybe one episode a month.
Yeah.
And then we started reaching out to people that we really, looked up to, that we thought would be interesting to talk to, but we thought would never say yes.
Yeah.
And then no one said no.
It was so bizarre. It was, you know what it is, man? I was thinking about this with so many things in life, and I think this is just a really good example of one of the just principles that I've discovered in life. Like, life is one giant ass surprise.
Yes.
No matter what happens, no matter how much you plan, no matter how many variables you've got in place, no matter even if the dream is yours. Like, we kind of dreamed this thing up, like drinking beer and just having conversations. We're like, oh man, let's just record some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And then what happens? We're like, oh, it'd be cool to like interview people from time to time. And you take a shot in the dark and email Pete Rollins, and you email Rob Bell, and you email Tim Mackey from the Bible Project, and you email Alexander freaking Shia and Sarah freaking Bessie. And what happens, John? What happened when we emailed all these glorious human beings?
Well, the good problem was that none of them said no. But
None
the bad
of them.
problem was that we had some marathon weeks. Do you remember our first week when we had, literally in 1 week, we had let's see, it was Alexander Shia, Tim Mackey, Rob Bell, and Brendan Strawn all in 1 week.
That was insanity.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
We had no idea how to podcast.
Nope.
We had no idea how to interview people, edit.
Nope.
We had literally zero idea what we're doing. And for everybody listening to this right now, if you're new, if you've been with us the whole time, John and I are the two most average people you've ever
That's
met.
fair.
You're
That's
above.
fair.
You're above average, man. But like I'm bringing us
Come
down.
on.
So
Together
we're average.
Yes.
But like
yes.
if you want to do something, don't wait. Like, if it's going to bring you joy, don't even worry who listens or who reads or who looks or who comes. Just freaking do it.
Yeah.
That's
and I think we jumped into it not knowing what we were doing, but uh, we had so much fun doing it that I think
Mm.
all the hours we spent looking at YouTube videos and researching equipment and all that stuff, like and buying the wrong board 6 times, like all those things, and having computers crash and like losing audio and
Oh,
having audio cut out on us, and then wanting to just like jump off a bridge because like something went wrong, like all totally worth it and so much fun.
oh, or when you're in the middle of interviewing Rob freaking Bell and his internet is cutting in and out like crazy, and you're literally
Yes,
about to have a panic attack and you need Xanax and you don't have any.
because it's the biggest interview you've done so far in your entire career.
And it's like the second interview you've done in your entire career.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that's
Oh my
it.
gosh.
2016 was a nutty year, man. And then some of the live events we did, man, where we just got to
Yes.
meet people face to face and mingle with them, like in Grand Rapids. We met people like, George Benson and Julie
Yes.
Newton. Shout out to you guys and that great Pints and Parables with Pete that we did and kind of helped get that out there a little bit. And like, our live event that we did here locally where like we freaking sold out and packed the place and we don't even know how the heck that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was before we even had double-digit episodes out at that point. So,
It was
um,
crazy.
just a magical night, man.
Now that I'm in love, I don't care about the money, so I quit my job. The modern world's got nothing for me. Anonymity is what I seek. I'm just another body milling in the street. Where did I go wrong? I said I don't care about the money.
And we kind of talked about this in our Facebook Live thing, but just so a wider audience can hear, who were some of your favorite guests just overall?
So this year was such a journey for me personally that we sort of got to chronicle through this podcast, and I know it was for you too, and we're still on it, and it just keeps going, it keeps unfolding, more and more dimensions. But like, there were people that I was like really, really familiar with their work, and it was like, oh, I'd really like to get this person on because I would like people to hear, some of the things that I have found really valuable in this person.
Yeah.
And like I'd say like a Rob Bell fits into that. Like I've always been very upset by the people inside the Christian faith that look at that guy with so much skepticism and criticism and disdain. And I wanted to bring him on to show people, and probably that wasn't the best read, but you get what I'm saying. Like I had a little bit of an
Yeah.
agenda there. Like, just listen to this guy. Like you don't have to agree with everything somebody says to agree with anything somebody says. And he was sort of my person to do that with. It's like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
just listen to him. Are you serious? You can't disagree with everything this guy says. Come on.
Oh, I got a quote for you from that episode. You ready?
Oh yeah, sure.
So one of the things, I went back and I was just digging through some of our old episodes, and I remember both of us kind of looking at each other when he said this. But there was a moment where he says, "You're not the weird thing. Radical is not someone who wandered off into the deep weeds. Radical is somebody who actually went back to the source, to the original root."
Yeah, man. Yes. And I
And I'm like,
I
wow.
still feel like that's what we're doing, even though it probably doesn't look like that to people on the outside. And it probably doesn't feel like that to people that are going through deconstruction. But
Yeah.
I truly believe that kind of is the essence of
Yeah.
of what's going on here. So to answer the long version of answering your question, like, you'd think it was the Rob Bells and the Richard Rohrs, and those were, or the NT Wright, or, Tim Keller, or, these blockbuster, huge, influential people. But honestly, my favorite episodes was like Tad DeLay. And,
Yes.
I was unfamiliar with Pete Rollins. So like when we first had him on, I think I'd just read the first book I'd ever read by him. And I remember getting off that interview and looking at you like I thought my head was gonna explode. Like what the heck just happened? Do you remember that? I was like,
Yeah.
what just
Yeah.
happened? What happened?
Oh man. I was super excited to get him. Like I was a little familiar with his work. I had heard more of his interviews than anything. But yeah, you and I had read Insurrection at the same time,
Yes.
and I remember phone call conversations when we were prepping for that interview where we were both discussing the fact that like there would be moments where we're like, yes, I completely 100% agree with this, and then there would be moments where you just wanted to throw the book across the room and yell,
Yeah, like
because
what?
partly because you didn't agree with them, but partly because you kind of did and you didn't want to.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
who else was
Oh,
kind of a surprise for you?
I mean, for me, man, it was Jack Caputo.
Oh yes.
I mean, Jack Caputo, again, he's for some people it's going to be a little bit academic, right? It's
Yeah.
a little bit on the technical side. But if you can just, declutter for a minute, find 30 or 40 minutes to just pay attention to that episode, the nuggets that you will glean and the freedom that I think you'll experience from listening to the wisdom of that beautiful man. I mean, that episode, I went and I think I read 3 or 4 of his books after that.
Yes.
Just devoured them. Just couldn't get enough. And he is so the analogy of like the waterfall and like I think what I took away from it that I truly remember and just felt even convicted about like as a leader in Christianity in the church, because I'm doing the pastor thing and if you say that you own, the truth, that you've got, the market cornered, that you've got it, you've taken a snapshot, frozen it, it's, your interpretation and you're setting it up as law, it's almost a fascism. It's almost, the truth is alive. The truth lives.
Yes.
It's like a waterfall. You can't freeze it. You can't let it calcify on itself. Ideas as big as love and hope and justice are not static, staunch, closed off ideas. They're living concepts that are always pulling us forward into greater and greater revelations of what they are. And in a way, they're always taking us back to their essences and calling to us. He says that justice calls to us. It's always here, but it's not here. It's not here yet. It's coming. It's still to come. We know what justice is, and we know we don't have it.
Yeah.
It's constantly evolving, constantly calling us forward to new and new levels. So Caputo was new to me. And like even rehashing it right now, I'm getting excited because it's concepts like that we need talked about, we need played out, we need these things to be wrestled with because they're challenging.
Yes.
They're challenging.
I felt very similar when I was digging into some of his work prior to the interview, and I started getting into weak theology.
Mm.
That as a concept just blew my mind, and it's funny because when we finally got to talk to Richard Rohr, he echoes a lot of that same kind of thing where Rohr mentions why aren't there any prayers or hymns that open with all vulnerable God
Absolutely.
instead of Almighty God,
Right.
and I just think it's really applicable to the climate of current times,
Oh my gosh, 100%. Power's out of control right now. And it's on
Yeah.
display for everyone to see. So what better, if you're going to deconstruct, if you're going to open yourself up to new voices, what better voices to open yourself up to than somebody like Jack Caputo who's putting on display what I think the gospel really teaches, talking about, again, what Rob Bell said, going back to the root. So I think Caputo's not doing something new and radical and like left field. I think he's
No.
staying more true to the living truth that is, contained in the pages of the Bible and in the life of Jesus and the apostles than most of your megachurch pastors and best-selling, probably, almost all of them. And he's saying he's
Absolutely.
almost calling them out and saying, no, look what it actually says. Look how scandalous,
Yeah.
look at how deconstructive, look at how disruptive the person and work of Jesus actually is. It's nuts. It's crazy. It's offensive.
Yeah. And how many times during that episode does he keep coming back to the idea that God is not some sort of, I think he refers to him as divine superhero. God is not about, theology is not about winning.
Right.
I love this line that he says: the weakness of God is loving your enemies or offering hospitality when it might be just a little too risky to offer hospitality. And he calls it the foolishness of God, but that God is not the sort to come in and make sure you're going to win. But he mentions later, he says, I think that the name of God is disclosed in the forgiveness and the love of enemies and hospitality, period, without the economy of reward and punishment. And I was just
Oh
like,
yeah, absolutely.
what?
Yes. Yes, I love how he calls grace a mad economy. Because if it's great,
Yes.
like because economies are built on give and take are all premised on this deserving. So what, this is
Yeah.
worth this and there's an exchange. But grace demolishes that whole economy and literally none of it even makes sense anymore.
Yeah.
Like I love to go back to something that this whole deconstructive course of 2016 in our podcast kind of took me to is back to our buddy Pete. His whole like pyrotheology and the absurdity of the cross. He said once when I was listening to him give a seminar, he's like, the cross is not a meaningful event. The cross is an utter challenge to all claims of meaning because it is so infinitely absurd when you think about the fact that the Almighty is completely vulnerable and dying on the cross. That the
Oh yeah.
the richest being in the universe is completely poor and naked and shamed.
Yes.
That the combination of these opposites distilled in Good Friday literally makes all these truth claims and power grabs foolishness. It's just he takes everything back to zero, which is where grace starts.
Yep.
I love it, man. So I'd say Caputo for me
So good.
would be my number one like sleeper. Like, why did I not know about
Yeah.
this guy? This guy has now
Yeah.
changed my life. I'd say Tad DeLay was up there. Man, I didn't know
Yes.
some of these great female authors like Sarah Bessie. I mean, she lit me up. That was unreal.
Oh man, one of my favorites of all time. Like
So
what she
good.
just her personality and like Sarah Bessie and Catherine Hayhoe seem like they have like the same just bubbly personality, but like you feel like you're being hugged over the phone,
Absolutely. Krista
But
freaking Tippett.
brilliant in their respective fields. Oh my gosh,
Krista freaking Tippett. That was a
the
dream come
lightning
true.
round.
The lightning round. What about Glennon Doyle Melton?
Yes,
Oh.
yes,
I mean, just what a year, man. It was bananas.
yeah, absolutely.
What was your what was yours? I mean, you may have already said it, but
I honestly like I was really surprised by the folks that maybe I wasn't as familiar with whose works that I had just kind of like started to touch on, like Glennon Doyle Melton and Sarah Bessie and Jack Caputo and people like that. But I really enjoyed one of the big ones that I was really happy that we got Walt Brueggemann
oh,
and Greg Boyd, man, that guy never like we had him on twice last year.
yeah, we did.
He's one of our repeat offenders, and that guy's just always just such fun to talk to.
He's incredible. He really is. I don't even know what to do with him.
Yeah,
because he's so great.
Yeah, he covers such a wide array of topics that you can pretty much call him up and have him riff on anything. So
hey, you know what? That made me think of something that I'd love to. I know you didn't plan on this, but like I would love to just not vent, but like I want people to hear us talk about something for a second that I think is really important because it comes up, oftentimes when our show gets critiqued either on iTunes or Facebook or we get an email or whatever. And I love critiques, so I hope the listeners keep the critiques coming. But there's one that's come up so many times that I feel like we should address it, and it's that we always sound like we're agreeing with everybody that comes on the show. We always sound like we're just
Yeah.
agreeing and high-fiving and chest bumping. And I think that I want to hear your thoughts on that. And what I'll start off by saying is this show is not two guys that are curating a bunch of stuff carefully because we've got this big master plan and we're, putting the pieces in place to bring you along with us and help you see what we see, and that we're already 20 miles ahead of everybody, and now we're showing people where we've been and how to get over this obstacle and how to do that. We literally are just getting shell shocked by all this stuff because we are smack dab in the middle of our deconstruction. And one of the things that I know I've learned is that people's perspectives are beautiful if you just
Yes.
open yourself up to listen to them. And so, call me wishy-washy. I don't really give a crap anymore what you call me because I'm having so much fun and I feel so alive doing this that I'm not saying that critique is totally invalid. It's completely valid. We really do validate pretty much anybody that comes on the show, and I am proud of that.
Yes. I think it's a sign of respect. I mean, we obviously vet the guests that we have on the show,
Mm-hmm.
and we have them on for a specific reason because they present a particular perspective that we think is interesting and would make for good conversation. And I think it goes back to what you said earlier. You don't have to agree with everything someone says to agree with anything they say.
Right.
And I think there's something to being able to respect a well thought out idea or argument or perspective, even if you don't agree with it.
Right.
I don't really care for country music, but you know what? I can appreciate a really well crafted song.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I can say, man, that's really good. I don't like it, but I can I can respect it.
Dude, I don't like
you
country
know?
music either. I'm with you on that. But you know what? Garth Brooks, calling Baton Rouge live, I can jam on
Yeah,
that. You know what?
absolutely.
I can do that.
Yeah. So I think I think we're not, to be clear. I think we've made this point way earlier in our young career, but we don't bring people on to have a debate and have an argument and to you know shake our fists at people. We bring people on to share unique perspectives. They and to share the work that they've spent years curating
Right.
and you know and and that's what we're trying to do, and it should be exciting, and we have lots of fun, and if you're sitting at home getting angry over this, then man, you're taking it way too seriously.
Yeah. And maybe this show isn't for you. We're not after growth for the sake of growth. We're not just looking to just pick up listeners so we can. We're not selling advertising here. We don't like. We hope you
Yeah.
come. We hope you come because we think it'd be fun and you'd probably get something out of it. But if you don't want to, then don't. But you don't need to be mad about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's not worth getting upset about.
no, no, it's not. And I think it's worth saying too. And I'm not just being self-deprecating here. I think this is a distinction worth making. We are not journalists. This isn't journalism. I am not trying
Right.
to shoot people the hard questions to see how they'll respond. This is like almost sitting with somebody that you should, you know, I'm not a counselor and this isn't about counseling, but I almost look at like the people listening as if they were listening in on like, a tender, vulnerable conversation where it's just pure honesty. And how are you going to get pure honesty if people's guard goes up and they get all defensive and like, why would I want to do that to
Right.
somebody? That's not my goal.
Exactly. And like we always say, at the end of the day, this should be fun. Deconstruction, once you get past the initial fear of asking any questions, or even taking even a tiny look at what you believe. I mean, when it comes down to it, your faith and your set of beliefs, that is the most important thing in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And as Greg Boyd said, we take more. We take a more critical look and take more time into buying a car than we do our own faith oftentimes.
Oh yeah.
And so once you get past that initial fear, I think, and you start your journey or whatever you want to call it. Like, this should be fun. This should be exciting. This should be, and that's all we're trying to do is we're trying to provide an environment where we bring in guests that maybe you haven't heard of before, maybe you have, and just try to engage them in interesting conversation and allow them the opportunity to maybe present something that you've never heard before.
Right.
And
Yeah,
that's it.
that's
We're
it.
not trying to convert anybody. We're not trying to sell anybody on anything. We're not trying to win you over to our perspective. We're just trying to ask you to keep an open mind and listen to what the guest has to say
Yeah.
and just think about it.
If there's
That's it.
anything we are trying to sell, it's what you just said. Just humility.
Yeah.
Just that we could all learn to listen a little bit better. Period.
Right. I mean, we've said
Period.
it before. We could be completely wrong about everything.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
But we're willing to question things, and we're willing to entertain new ideas, and we're willing to go through the mental exercises of looking at other perspectives and other ideas and listen to what other people have to say, and yeah, and that's what we think we're trying to present here.
Yeah, and I do want to be respectful to a lot of people that may listen to this show and they get uneasy because maybe they're not really aware of their doubts and they're not really aware of different views and different possibilities, or that makes them uncomfortable to hear people talk about scripture in a certain way or God in a certain way or politics or whatever in a certain way that makes you uncomfortable. Like, look, I get it, and that's okay. Like, we're not trying to drag people to a place they're not ready to go. Like, if it's not for you, that's okay. Like, we don't dislike you. We're not looking down on you. Like we know what that's like. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So
man.
good stuff, man.
Yeah,
Good
dude.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been
I feel like
quite a year.
that's definitely worth revisiting. Yeah.
It has been quite a year, and just getting to talk about it a
my
little bit
gosh.
really, really does feel good because, man, do I feel privileged to just be a part of this conversation. However big or small a part we are, it doesn't even matter to me. What a cool
Yeah.
thing to get to do in this age of technology and connectedness, to be able to do something healthy that's making people think, building new communities, accompanying people on their journey for a time. For anybody listening, I'm an extrovert. If you saw me, I'd probably try to hug you. I want to hug you. I wish I could hug you. If you're listening to this and you're a part of this,
Feel hugged.
feel hugged. We take this as a huge gift of grace to get to be able to do this.
When they've gone too far, they make you question who you are. When it wrecks you on the inside, yeah, everybody knows there are times when it's so hard to choose love. Why can't I stay forever? And when my songs have all been sung, I hope I've given all I have to you to show you how it's done. To show you how it's done.
I think the one thing I want to kind of end on for this teaser episode is first of all, we want to say a huge thanks to everybody out there who has supported us since the beginning, those who have come on board along the way and support us either through, reaching out to friends and letting their friends know about us and recommending us to other people, or sending in donations or whatever the case may be. We can't thank you guys enough. This has been a crazy journey, as Adam said, and it's been a wonderful thing for us to get to be able to do and to call kind of our second job in a way. So we really appreciate it. And so let's talk a little bit about what we have in store for next year, or for this year, rather. We're in this year, 2017.
2017. So yeah, how is this going to be different, John? What's it looking like? What can people?
So
We can't give away too much, but like, what can people expect out of 2017?
I'm not going to throw out guests because like we like to keep things on the down low and surprise, like little presents, little gifts, little Christmas presents every week.
Some
Uh,
good juice.
we have some good juice in store, man. So Adam and I have already done multiple interviews. We haven't been completely idle this time off. So we've got some really good stuff that we're really excited about that we've been sitting on for a couple months now. But we have a couple topics that we can kind of throw out there. We do plan on revisiting, doing another scripture series this year.
Mm-hmm.
You'll you'll be graced with some familiar voices and some new voices as far as that goes. We are definitely going to do a religious pluralism series. I know that's something we talked about last year.
So define religious pluralism. Now that you're a big seminarian.
So religious pluralism, I guess from our perspective, is really just talking about like how, if you consider yourself Christian, how do we interact and how do we find grace in other religions, and how do we, essentially, ultimately, how do we facilitate healthy dialogue and get along with our brothers and sisters who worship different different things and follow different religions. So we have some experts from a couple different religions coming on in the near future.
Yeah, you mean like Baptists and Methodists and Pentecostals and no.
Well, no. sometimes that seems like a different religion. No offense to our Baptist brothers and sisters out there.
No, we're a big melting pot on this podcast. But like, so Absolutely. You're talking about like Judaism, Islam, some of these other expressions of spirituality.
Yeah, so we're gonna start with the three Abrahamic traditions. So obviously that would be Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. And it'll be an opportunity to have a fun discussion with some religious experts from those other traditions, and just kind of break down kind of high level overview, like what are the tenets of those faiths, where do they differ from Christianity, kind of do a little compare contrast. But I think it'll be a fun opportunity to kind of learn a little bit, because I'll be honest, Adam, like I didn't know until I started taking this class in seminary how little I knew about other religions, even Judaism, which we are most closely related to.
Mm-hmm. No, so I'm with you, man.
It was eye-opening.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So and again, it's one of those things that if you don't challenge your preconceived assumptions and biases, you're gonna be working on within a matrix of life and an interpretation of reality that affects how you see people around you that may or may not be accurate or well informed, and that's just not good.
No. We like to be informed.
This is one of the really positive parts of voluntary deconstruction. This is like where we're going to call on all of us to hey, we'd like to get some volunteers for deconstructing how we look at other faiths, and we're hoping everybody puts their hand up and goes, I need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's obviously, like, if you've been paying attention to the news, there's a lot of fear involved in the way we operate as a society,
Absolutely.
And I think it's not too controversial to say that a lot of that fear is based out of just the unknown, not
it always is, man.
Not understanding the other, not understanding certain customs and that sort of thing. So
Right.
What's the easiest way to dispel that fear? We just need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully we'll provide that opportunity to learn a little bit. I know I'm really excited about it.
I am too.
So we've got that coming up. And then if you like the female voices we had on last year, we have some killer female voices coming on this year. If you like science, are we going to have some science this year.
Dude, there's some science that needs to be talked about.
Oh, man. Yeah. With some of these announcements recently by NASA, I think we got some stuff we need to talk about, right? So
totally need to talk about it.
We got some musicians coming on that we're really pumped about too. So if you guys like some of the musicians we interviewed last year, we got even more coming this year. And then we've got some really different um, kind of one-offs that I can't really
Curveballs. Let's just
can't,
call them curveballs.
curveball. Yeah, I can't really describe them without giving it away. But let's
No,
just
you don't
say
need to.
October's going to be really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a blast. And this
Our
is
Halloween month is going to be cool.
yeah, we've got so much in store. Life's getting busier and busier, and last year we had no idea what we were doing, and we were almost slaves to way too much work.
Yeah.
Even though it was so much fun, it was like fun at the expense of neglecting work and family sometimes, I think, for both of us. And
Right.
this year we're going to try to practice what we preach a little bit more and stay healthy and have a good routine and a good rhythm and still give everyone plenty of juice.
Yeah, we want to be fully charged when we do these interviews. And there were definitely some times last year where Ab and I were just cranking caffeine into our systems just so we could bear through it, and doing 2 to 3 interviews in a night, and not the most healthy way to operate. So
Remember that one time where you got here and I just hit you with the defibrillator, like right when you walked in the door?
Right, just
I just
paddles right to the chest. I mean,
clear.
I appreciate it though. I was like, I'm ready. Let's go.
Oh man, it was
So,
it was almost like that, but yeah, what a
pretty
great
close.
year. I'm excited. I'm so pumped for 2017. I'm excited for 2018 and 2019 and however long this goes.
Yeah, man.
As long as people want to hang out with us and be open-minded and have conversations and practice some humility and some grace and some listening and some learning and some transforming, I want to keep doing this.
Absolutely. So yeah, keep up on our social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We are going to slow down to uh, once every other week, just so we can stay fresh, and so that way we can
Oh, you mean
make sure that we
episodes we're going to slow down to once every other week?
yeah.
Yeah.
Not on social media.
I was like, John,
stay on social
you're
media.
so good. So everybody, John does the Instagram for the most part, all the part actually, and your quotes are on point, dude.
I like to dig.
You do. You're a digger.
It's fun, man. It's a lot of fun. And Adam's so good at tweeting that I barely like jump in on that, just because like you figured out the there's a rhythm and a flow to tweeting that I just don't get. So
I've been bad this year. I'm sorry, everybody. You probably don't care because Twitter's one of those things that if it's in your feed, you look at it. If it's not, you don't even know it's not there. But I'm gonna ramp it.
yeah,
I'm gonna ramp it back up again. I have not had a lot of time to read, and I usually tweet when I'm reading and engaging and consuming content. And I just, with my new job, I haven't had a lot of opportunity to do that. But don't worry, it's coming back.
yeah. I can't wait, man. Adam's a killer on Twitter, so stay tuned. We will definitely let you guys know when episodes are coming out, but expect at least a couple a month. And like I said, we've got some great stuff coming. Continue, like if you like what we're doing, if you want to support us in some way to help us cover the cost of this, because we do have to pay for our website, our domain, storage space, and all that good stuff. Also consider, instead of doing a donation, if you're going to donate in the range of $20, consider purchasing a T-shirt, because all that money, all that the proceeds of those T-shirts go back into the podcast, and then you get a T-shirt on top of it. So
yeah, that's the way to roll, because those T-shirts are freaking sweet.
Yeah, man, we got 2 right now, and we've got a third one that's being designed as we speak. So I'm excited to see how that one turns out. So
yeah.
So if you click on our donate tab on the website, that'll actually take you to where you can donate, and it'll take you to all our T-shirts that we offer.
And that's always in the show notes too.
Yep. So, and the music this week on this little special episode is by the Handsome Devil, who makes us sound so darn good week after week after week. Nick Rowe, our producer, sound engineer extraordinaire. He just put out a solo EP. So you'll be hearing some snippets of that music. So if you like what you hear, please go out and support Nick. And
I love it.
I know he'd appreciate it.
Sacred and Profane is such a good song. It's like Wilco, Tom Waits.
Yes.
Like, oh man, folk rock, like almost even a little Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good.
The video's sweet too, man.
The video
I really
is
enjoyed
sweet.
the video.
It's trippy.
Yeah.
I love it.
So yeah. So without I think that's unless you got anything more, Adam.
I don't, man. I don't. I'm sucking back some LaCroix here, trying to stay healthy and just
Me too.
and just loving just getting to do this and yeah, man. I love it. I'm happy. I'm a happy guy.
Me too, man. And so yeah, thanks everybody, and hopefully this gives you a taste of what's coming up in 2017. And again, next Tuesday evening, we will be dropping our official first episode of 2017. Not gonna tell you what it is, but it'll be a nice little surprise.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
So good.
So good.
Just remember Clay.
Oh.
Oh no, nope, not wrong episode. Just kidding. Forget Clay. Remember Clay later.
Oh yeah, remember Clay later. Yes.
Yeah.
And now now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Now you remember.
Trying to be sly. We love you guys so much, and if you're on a journey and get into community, and don't let a podcast be your community. Let it just kickstart a real one somewhere locally, and find some people to have a beer, or a cup of coffee, or whatever with, and chat about this. But for now, we are your hosts in 2017, Deconstructing. My name is Adam Narlock.
And I'm John Williamson.
Grace and peace, everybody. We love you.
Darkness meet on the edge of the horizon through the trees. I am a narcissist crippled with self-doubt. I've got a courage that brings me to my knees. I am equal parts sacred and profane. I live my life that way. So I can slip out the back door and be alone. I fight with angels till I'm too beat up to walk, and then I hold on tight and when I let them go. I am equal parts sacred and profane. I live my life that way. I live my life that way. Parts of Abel and of Cain. I live my life that way. I live my life that way. I am a generous swindler, an honest man who lies is my human nature. That's a hell of an alibi. You got killed. I read a story once about a whitewashed tomb, and I've been thinking about that story ever since you left the room. Generous swindler, an honest man who lies. I've got a fear of failure that keeps me up at night. I read a story once about an empty tomb, but I've been trying to pay this debt off ever since I left the womb. I am equal parts sacred and profane.